Hey, what's up, guys? Rampedi here. Does the Mamelodi Sundowns coach have to win the CAF Champions League to keep his job? Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
On this show, ladies and gentlemen, we focus on two segments, and one of them obviously being Mamelodi Sundowns and what happened over the weekend. Mangoba, you're not going to hide from this one. But let's start off with the Magesi one. And unbelievably, I was given the opportunity to speak to this man who's got decades of experience within the PSL, has played 2 finals and has won 2 finals, has 2 league cups, and also he is the Magesi head coach. You want to hear this?
Another big guest on Playing the Field with Sheikh guys. Now, this guest I'm super excited to have because he's got decades of experience within South African football, 2 finals, 2 wins, 2 league cups. Man, he just became a champion over the weekend. He is the Magesi head coach, Clinton Larsen. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, and thank you for having me on this platform.
No, it's always a pleasure. Funny enough, I was speaking to my friends over the weekend, and I said, what happened over the weekend is some of the reasons why we actually love to watch football, because a story plays out that you just never thought would happen. And for some reason, you thought it would happen.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale. You know, it's one of my favorite biblical tales, David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
And it didn't come any bigger than this on Saturday. So very, very proud of my team, very proud of my players. An amazing performance in terms of the fighting spirit that they showed, and they were rewarded in the end.
I mean, when we were leading up towards the final, I was watching you doing your media work where you were having interviews, whether it was with Supersport, whether it was with Soccer Beat as well. And you had this sense of belief, Clinton, that I couldn't believe it. I just thought, wow, he really thinks he could do something here. Where did that come from? Because maybe even some of us as fans, what we saw, what you did to Pirates and the Chiefs, for example, we should have also believed in some kind of way.
Yeah, I think that belief comes from experience and having done it before. You know, they say when you've done something once, you can do it again. And
Yeah.
I've done it in 2012 against Sundowns, you know, and in various other games against the bigger clubs. So I've always believed that, you know, if we apply ourselves correctly and are disciplined on the day, it's a one-off affair. Anything is possible, and we prove that.
I mean, that's the thing, is that we do remember that time when you did with Bloemfontein and Celtic, and it was amazing. The only difference this time around is that you're a newly promoted side. And someone was actually making a joke to say that perhaps one player of Mamelodi Sundowns could probably cost the whole of your team. And for some reason, you still believed going 1-0 down. I mean, even when 1-0 down, did you not feel like it might be too much of a mountain to climb?
We always believe we can get back into the game because we just needed one chance, and we got that, you know, and we converted our first chance in the second half, and the rest is history.
I mean, the rest was definitely history. Now, I thought about this when I was by myself at home, and I thought, wow, Clinton Larsen's always had this experience of having to set up against supposedly the bigger sides and being able to get something from it. Now, with you having to be able to do that, sometimes people level the fact that they can't get success because of Mamelodi Sundowns' money, maybe they would say, or the fact that they're not able to compete in the market. And I'm looking at teams that are probably of a higher level than what a Magesi should be. Should all the teams in the Betway Premiership not have any excuses to compete, because you're showing that you can get results even against the big boys?
Yeah, it's not as easy as that, you know. Yes, we've beaten Pirates, we've beaten Sundowns, and drew with Kaiser Chiefs as one of the small clubs. But it's never easy playing against these star-studded teams that have unlimited resources and amazing players, you know. Like I said, it felt like playing the national team on Saturday, and that is no easy feat. So, just as smaller clubs, we just got to work smartly, work harder, and try and close the gap to these clubs. You know, we're never going to be able to afford the salaries they can pay or secure some of the players that they can. So with what we've got to try and be smart, try and work hard, and be as competitive as we can.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you're definitely right with regards to that. But when we look at your story and you, Clinton Larsen, I mean, you went on I would say we didn't see you within South African football for quite some time, up until
Yeah.
Summerfield Dynamos, you'd say. But when we're talking about the top level, we didn't happen to see you at that time. And I just sort of think that is this a sign that South African coaches can do it? Because I'm looking at even, for example, what Steve Barker is doing at Stellenbosch, what he's been able to do. You look at Gavin Hunter's record with regards to the PSL as well. Should South African coaches be given more opportunities because you guys are showing that you can do it?
Yeah, listen, it's not just about giving coaches an opportunity, you know. Firstly, you've got to equip yourself. Firstly, you've got to do your badges, and then also, you know, you've got to start at the bottom. You know, problem is everybody wants to start at the top.
I see.
Whether you're an ex-player, but you've got to start at the bottom and gradually work your way up the coaching ladder. And I think if more coaches do that, you know, they can be better prepared when they get to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right with regards to that. And I look at the experience that you have, for example, and the fact that you've been in South African football for such a long time. It does. I mean, I don't know if it's right to sort of ask this right now, but like, would Clinton Larsen over the years and looking at what you've done with the League Cups as well, I mean, would you like a better opportunity at some point at a bigger club? Maybe would you be open to that?
Yeah, listen, I'm not obsessed with coaching one of the big three teams.
Yeah.
But if the opportunity came along, like it has for Kevin Hunt, and it has for Eric Tinkler, and it has for Owen De Gama, and I can go on and on, Steve Kopela, all these coaches. Yes, they've all had chances. Fadlu David, they've all had chances at these clubs, you know, but it just depends if you are fit for a club. You know, the club's board needs to decide whether the coach is a good fit for the club, and you know that's something that's out of a coach's control. But yeah, all I can focus on is doing the best that I can where I am, and wait and see what happens.
No, I totally hear that, and I totally agree with that. The last question that I have, Coach, is you can answer this any way that you'd like. Where would you say is South African football for you right now?
I think we've got a long way to go. It depends what we comparing our league with. You know, are we comparing our league with the European standards, with North Africa? You know, and if we are, then I think we've got a way to go in terms of improving our football on all levels. So yeah, but I think if we keep working and the national team is leading the way at the moment, Sundowns has been leading the way for the. We got to close the gap and follow and try and improve as well.
I see. Well, Coach, I totally agree with you. I still think we have a way to go. I still think South African football can definitely improve. But with people like you that are in the game and changing people's lives and taking players like, I mean, when I heard that Mzava story that you had, it's a beautiful story to see what you're doing with these players who are sitting at home. So if you're doing that, it can only lift South African football. So I just want to take this time to say thank you and also congratulations, and also the fact that I'm hoping that you guys stay within the top flight football of South Africa.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Coach. Please keep well.
You too.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Now, you heard how Clinton Larsen did it and how he believed, and he was such a believer in it. I'm happy for him, really happy for him. It sort of goes to show that other smaller sides, you guys don't have excuses. If you come with a plan, something can come out of it. But now let's focus on the Mamelodi Sundowns side of things. They've lost the MTN8 and they've lost the Carling Knockout. With the trophies that are there left, yes, we see the Nedbank Cup and we see the league, but the guest that I have on, Kamogelo Motecwane, has come in, and I've asked him the straight question: does Mangoba have to win the CAF Champions League to retain his job?
Hey guys, another guest on Playing the Field with Chicks. This is what we do, and man, I had to bring this guest back because the giants of Africa called Mamelodi Sundowns, are they in a crisis? We're not necessarily sure. Maybe he can tell us. The journalist from Soccer Laduma, Kamogelo Motecwane, how are you, sir?
I'm brilliant. Thank you so much for having me back on your show. It's a pleasure and an honor to be back.
Man, it's a pleasure to have you because I'm trying to figure out, man, with the CAF journey that's starting up at this current moment, what's going on with Mamelodi Sundowns, man? Because, geez, man, once upon a time, not even once upon a time, like just a couple of weeks ago, they looked so scary. Like, and I mean, like, I'm seeing Matthews and I'm seeing Rivero and I'm seeing maybe Shaulile comes on as well, Reyners. I just thought they would never be able to be stopped. And suddenly Magesi, newly promoted, stops them, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think you know what. Obviously, it's not ideal for Sundowns to be in the position to losing another cup final. Yeah, I think this is the third in the row. So yeah, it's not ideal. But perhaps maybe people are reading too much into it because Magesi for as lowly of a team that they are, they've managed to gain some notable scalps. I mean, they beat Pirates. They drew to Chiefs. I think Chiefs were quite unfortunate to draw in that game actually. And now they gave Sundowns a run for their money. So, you know, I think Sundowns are still kind of getting their feet under the table, and they created a lot of chances against Magesi. You know, it's not like they're not creating chances. They're still creating chances. They just were not clinical on the day.
The funny thing is that like I get the whole clinical nesting, but like from the optics, right? When someone looks at it with the eyes, they're like, wait a second, Magesi just came from out of nowhere. I mean, they were promoted, yes, and they won the championship as well, but they just came up, right? And you sort of think to yourself, probably one player of Mamelodi Sundowns costs the whole team of Magesi. And when you're looking at the experience of one player of Mamelodi Sundowns who played multiple times in the PSL, and maybe the different story now is with Pirates, they had to score three before Pirates could come back. They had to score two before Chiefs could even try to think of winning the game. But with this one, Sundowns went ahead and they still lost. Like, what? So from an optics point of view, how bad does it look for Coach Manova?
Yeah, it's from Mangoba, it's not good. You know, I was at the pre-match press conference earlier on ahead of the Champions League game, against Maniema, and I don't want to say that he seemed under pressure, but when they asked him about losing the cup final and how much maybe that would have went a long way in justifying or solidifying his place as the head coach, he kind of just dismissed it and said, you know what, it's beyond my control, and the powers that be will decide what they decide. When they if this is something they want to ponder. So yeah, it's not good, and I think he knows that as well. I mean, even the circumstances that Rulani Mokwena found himself in, or departed under, they weren't really, they were surprising in the sense that this guy kind of went kind of the whole season unbeaten. He lost on the final day, but you wouldn't think somebody like that would be fired. So it just speaks to the pressure of the nature of the Sundowns job. So Mangoba knows that he's under tremendous scrutiny.
And the funny thing is that one of the things I felt strongly about, especially with Coach Rulani when he was Mamelodi Sundowns head coach, was he actually didn't buy himself enough time. And what I meant by saying that, I mean, like, he didn't win enough domestically to sort of like give him that time. It's like you only win the league only, and then you miss out on the other cups. And yes, the CAF Champions League is what it's supposed to be. But Rulani can look back and say, hey, but at least Pirates beat me in the final, But when you look at this season with regards to Coach Mangoba, it's like MTN8, Pirates didn't knock you out. It was Stellenbosch. And then you go to Carling Knockout, you're like, it wasn't Pirates that beat you. It was Magesi that beat you. I mean, just to put it in layman's terms, man, like plain and simple, does Mangoba's future at Mamelodi Sundowns ride on what he does in the CAF Champions League this season?
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, if he can get far, depending on what happens in between, because the end of the Champions League, the end of the season is quite far away, and a lot of things can transpire. Results can go really terribly, and he could find himself in the situation that he doesn't want to find himself. So they might even pull the trigger before then, depending on how results go. But yeah, a lot of it will be contingent on the Champions League, of course, because he's introduced this style of play. Not introduced it, but he says he's added this style of play. The diagonals, the runs in behind from the wingers, and then the cutbacks in. So yeah, he's always said that this is something that is probably more suited for the Champions League. And I think that whether he wins it or not, this is maybe some Sundowns fan might see it differently. They might think the league is the holy grail, but I think the powers that be at Mamelodi Sundowns will see the Champions League as, the end all and be all.
Funny thing is, I've got two questions that are remaining. I want to touch on this one as well. Before we had Kamogelo Motecwane having to be in the press conference, and it seemed like he was giggling at something or whatever. Then eventually he was dropped. Him and Modal was dropped, and then all of a sudden you have a situation where the players come back. Now you found a situation with regards to what happened with Magesi as well. You sort of thinking to yourself, I mean, the Sundowns players could have really. I also think they need to also take some responsibility for losing that final two. It's not just down to the coach. Is the synergy between the players and the coach? Do you think it's all right, or do you think maybe there could be something there?
Yeah. Look, it's hard to say exactly because Mangoba's been at the club for I think over 10 years now.
Yeah.
He's been there for a long time. He's seen the players come and go. So obviously he's stepping into a new role now where he is kind of the sole head coach of the team. I think he's occupied it maybe on a few previous occasions, but briefly, and even then it was kind of ambiguous as to who was the head coach really. So yeah, now it seems like it's clear, and with it comes its own pressures, of course. And as you say, like maybe the chemistry with the team is something that he needs to contend with. But I think that it is prevalent in a way, but I don't think that Sundowns is such a because there's been such a kind of revolving door, although it's been with play or coaches within the co-coaching remit. I think they're just so used to the constant revolving door and the constant changing of coaches that this should be something that they're familiar with. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a matter of whether I like the coach or whether this sort of thing will be contingent, whether our relationship will contingent on us winning games. I think they're big enough players to understand that what, we have jobs to do and our goal is to win. Whatever championship it might be, whatever cup it might be. So yeah, I don't think there's too much of that. I just think maybe there's just a lot of pressure for Mangoba, for the players.
Listen, man, I think you're right. It remains to be seen. But now the final question I have for you is the big one. It's the one that now people are like, they're answering it there, they're answering it here, some are hiding from it and everything. From the evidence that you've seen so far, Kamogelo, now, can Mamelodi Sundowns win the CAF Champions League?
Yeah, the thing is, like, Sundowns this season, when they've really been on it, like they've looked near unstoppable. Like I'd even go as far as saying they look better than they did last season when they're at their best this season. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think a game, their best performance for me, or the one that stands out for me was the game against Chiefs in the league. So I think for me that. And I think even the calling knockout game was quite impressive. It was very impressive actually, but the league one in particular. But yeah, it's when they're on it and they're able to play their game, then yeah, they look great. But when they're not at their best, then it kind of seems like something is disjointed, like something is not wrong, like they need a plan B. Like, yeah, they need something, and yeah, it's just not clicking. So it's hard to say whether they'll win the Champions League because there are other teams that are so powerful and formidable, and what we know they're going to bring to the competition. So yeah, when I think about an Al Ali and the mentality that they bring every time to the competition and to the competition's knockout stages in particular, it's very hard to say whether this Mamelodi Sundowns team is capable of doing what we say, especially when we speak about the issues that seem to be lingering at the club. Maybe this is something you can prevent. And when you want to win Champions League against teams like Ali, against teams like Esperance, like you need to be locked in at all times. So hopefully they can get it sorted out. But it's possible. You can't never rule Sundowns out, but it's going to be very difficult. They wouldn't be my favorites, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
I'd put one of the North African teams. But I think they'll make it to a semi-final at least. They'll do very well to win a Champions League this season. Yeah, it's teams often sit back against Mamelodi Sundowns, even in the continent. I think they're more willing to play, so maybe this new style of play can help. But yeah, it's I don't see it really happening just from a mentality perspective. They've suffered some serious heartbreak. The Wydad game, Esperance last season was also quite bad. So yeah, it's very telling. So they're not my favorites. Obviously, it's possible, but yeah, I'd probably put one of the African teams teams above
No.
Mamelodi Sundowns.
No, man, I appreciate it, man. Come on, I want to take this time to say thank you, man, for sharing every little bit of time you have with me, which is really great. And hopefully, with the CAF journey starting, I hope that Stellenbosch can do well. I hope that Rampedi can do well. I hope Sundowns too. I hope they can also do well. That's for sure. But I look forward to it, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest, man.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yeah, hopefully I can be back again soon.
You definitely gonna be back. Keep well, bro.
Thank you.
Placing the right bets on the right games. Win big with Shakes from Rampedi on Bet of the Week. Bet of the Week time, I'm going to jump past the Europa League and the Conference League and as well as the Champions League. I'll still watch it though, but I'm jumping over it. I'm going straight to the weekend, and we got Premier League on the bet slip. Brighton going up against Southampton. I've gone Brighton straight win. Brentford going up against Leicester. I've gone Brentford straight win. West Ham against Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal are back, so I've gone Arsenal straight win. Tottenham against Fulham. I don't trust this Tottenham team, even though they beat City 4-0. I've gone with the both teams to score. And the final one, Liverpool against Manchester City. I've gone with a draw. I've gone with Manchester City, and I've gone with over 1.5. So basically what I'm trying to say is I don't see City losing this game. Maybe Liverpool don't lose it too. Maybe it's a draw, but there will be goals, that's for sure. And it's great odds by the looks of it, which is 11.76, which is great. And of course, if you want to win with me, you gotta copy the booking code below. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Come to the end of the show, and I've got some news that I need to share with you guys. Not some really happy news. I will be taking a break. Yeah, I'll be taking a break. This will be the last show for now. But the good news is you can still catch me on socials. So those videos will be coming thick and fast every single week. I do want to take this time to say thank you to everybody who showed support. Thank you to all the comments. Thank you to all the criticism. Thank you all for the love. But I will be back, that's for sure. But please do subscribe. Please do hit the like, because the pulse will still keep going. Peace.
Hey, Tawala.
All right, here we go.
Ko betweng ba tshepela hore o tshwantse o betjhe ka tsela e nepahetseng.
Ka nako e nngwe o tlamehile hore o ikhule hanyane.
Ka nako tse ding
O ska leka go busha tse di lahlegileng.
Nakusasa kuse olunye kuso.
Dlala ngokusemandleni wakho.
Ge o tlhoka thuso go gona.
Awuhambi wedwa.
hopola, bet responsibly.